So, I'm uploading this video on Christmas Eve, and you either just got your hands on 2K for Christmas, or you're about to get your hands on 2K for Christmas, and you're doing some quick research on what builds you should make. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you, okay? What you want to make, you will find out after you hit that like and subscribe button. So go do that right now. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my other videos if you're new to 2K. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Now, but for serious though, I'm be 100% honest with you guys. If you're new to 2K, okay, you're probably watching a bit of Ticino, a bit of Flight Reacts. You know, maybe you're checking out some tryhards like Steezo the God or something like that. And you're like, damn, I really just want to be able to shoot. I want to be able to cook up. Let me tell you, they are not the rule. They are the exception. There is a very, very high chance that you're not going to be as good as them, as guard is much more difficult to play than you'd expect.
Oh, but it's just a video game, Cameron. It's just a video game. We can just have fun on it, right? It's just a game. It's not like it's the real life. It would just take me a little while to get used to.
If your internet is not perfect, okay? If you have anything except exceptional, perfect internet with a very, very high quality with no frames lost monitor, it's gonna be difficult for you to shoot, okay? I don't care what you're saying. Or unless you're planning to spend 1,000 hours on the game every day, you're gonna find it difficult to shoot, okay? Dribbling takes a long time to get used to. And every single person that I know that makes a guard for their first 2K, right? They're like, yo,
I'm getting 2K. Let's get excited, okay? I'm so hyped. I'm getting NBA 2K. I want to make a guard. I want to play just like Russell Westbrook. You know, I'm trying to make some slashing shot creator. That's like the best build in the game. They're so overpowered.
you're gonna hate your time on 2K, okay? The park is not gonna be enjoyable. You're gonna end up shooting 2 from 14 every game. Or you're gonna have one of the most broken pure sharps in existence. Your time is gonna go something like that. But, however, people that make centers, I find generally have a much more enjoyable time on the game. The taller your build is, the less of a skill gap there is, the less frustrated you're gonna get, the easier it is to play, and the better and more effective you're gonna be. It's also gonna be much easier to find teammates, right? Because you can't run 3 guards in 2K. You can run 2 centers and a guard, it's fine. You can pretty much even run 3 centers most of the time, and you're fine. But you run 3 guards and you lost, okay? You're running 3 guards, you've lost. But if you're a center, you can hop on with anyone and you can have a good chance of winning the game, okay? You can be the guy that gets rebound for your teams instead of having 3 guards and just not getting a single rebound. Even the small forwards and power forwards for like lockdowns and stuff, they're all gonna be good builds. But if this is your first 2K, you've never played 2K before, I would stay away from shooters unless you're just planning to play my career on pro difficulty and just shoot the lights out. Then you might want to go for a guard. But with that exception, I would only make small forwards and above. So let's go into the best builds for noobs on NBA 2K20. So we're going to start off with the center builds. These are the 2 builds that I would definitely recommend the most. So obviously the first build, I have this build. We're making the pure defensive build. This is called a glass cleaning lockdown. It is a very, very good build. I have this build. For your pie chart, you want to do the strength vertical pie chart. Pretty much anything with strength, you want the 95 strength, so that's why we're doing this pie chart. Now, what we're going to start off by doing with any of your builds is getting the most important badges for your build. So we're going to max out our interior defense, our rebounding, our blocks, and that's gonna get us to 30 defensive badges. So what you could do is take away some stats to the point where you've only got 30 defensive rebounding badges. That's what a lot of people would do, because then you can get a badge in an extra category. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I would rather just have maxed out interior defense, maxed out block, and maxed out offensive rebounding. I think the stats are more important than getting an extra badge that you don't really need. Now, next up, you want to be able to finish your layups. So what we're going to do is max out our standing dunk so that we don't have to take as many layups. Max out our shot close, max out our driving layup, max out our driving dunk. And then we can even max out our post hook, but then reduce that to 58 so that we've only got 16 defensive badges. This is going to give us more attributes for other things, but we're going to keep the same amount of finishing badges, as post hook is really not that valuable. but we want to upgrade it all the way to get as many finishing badges as possible because they are incredibly valuable. Now, next up, we've got a choice to make. If you think you can be a shooting center, upgrade your mid-range on your three-point shot. Chances are you're not going to be a shooting center. So what I would do is upgrade my post moves to max, upgrade my passing accuracy to max, and upgrade my ball handling to max. This is going to give me 4 playmaking badges. 4 playmaking badges are really, really good. Okay, you get post spin technician, you get quick first step, all those kind of things that will make you really, really good. Now we have 14 attributes, so we've got a choice to make. Do we want to put it into a little bit of mid-range, a little bit of three-point shot? My opinion is you could, but it's not going to do that much. If you were to upgrade, let's say, your steals or your lateral quickness, something like that, I think is going to make you better because you're already so good at defense. So what I'm going to put it into is steals. Now, for any center build, okay, I don't care what people tell you, do not be an undersized center if you are a newbie. If you are a newbie, make your player 7'3", maximum weight, and maximum wingspan. Okay? Do not do anything else if you're a newbie center. I know a lot of people will be like, 7'1" centers are better, they get more rebounds. Only if you're jumping into the perfect spot with a run up at the perfect time, and you can be a little bit more finessey in the post, but it's much easier just to be 2 inches taller with a better wingspan and just grab everything. Or just dunk over people. Go for layups and dunks without jumping. Trust me, it's a lot better. I had an undersized center one year. It was really good until I found out what 7'3" centers can do. And since then, I've never gone back. Okay, so the next build is a very, very similar one. And I'm sure if you've been doing your research and your homework, you've probably heard of it. We are making a paint beast. Now, something I forgot to mention about the last build is that with the pure defensive build, you still get 95 standing dunk. That's why I don't think this build is as good as it's hyped up to be. But obviously, a lot of people like it for a lot of reasons. So, we're doing the same pie chart, which is the vertical and strength pie chart. I think it's the best pie chart for any centers. So, what we want to start off by doing is upgrading all the things that we need most. So, obviously, you want the most amount of finishing badges. We're doing the exact same thing. Maxing out all our finishing stats and then dropping it down till we only have 22 finishing badges, so we can still get a 78 post hook. As I said, you always want to drop the post hook because I don't think it's that valuable. And then next up, we're going to go to our defensive / rebounding stats, max out our interior defense, max out offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, our blocks. And then we can upgrade our steals to a 52 to get 1 extra defensive / rebounding badge. And now the rest of our stats, we've got 2 options here. We can put them into our 3-point shot and our mid-range and become a little bit of a shooting center and then still have 35 points to put into our post moves. You can see we don't get any extra badges this way, but we can shoot a little bit better and we still get an almost max post moves. Or what most people do is just ignore the shooting, max out the post moves, max out the ball handling, and then put the rest in passing accuracy to get 8 playmaking badges. I know a lot of people try get 13 playmaking badges or whatever, but playmaking badges are good on a center, but 8 is much more than needed, okay? 8 is much more than adequate, so that's what I would do to make the paint beast for a newbie, okay? For someone a little bit better, I might try focus a little more on shooting, but pure inside centers are the best build for newbies. So you can see you get really nice finishing stats. You still get almost maxed out defense. It's very, very similar to the rebounding lockdown, but there's just a slight difference. It's like slightly more balanced, I guess. So going to actually make the build, we're going our body shape, burly, height 7'3", obviously. maximum weight, we maxed out everything on our inside centers, and then put maximum wingspan. So now we have our final stats here, and you can see it's very similar to our final stats on our defensive build. I'll put them side by side right now. You can see that there's pretty much almost no difference, except for they're kind of just a little more swing one way. Obviously, our pure defensive build gets a 95 offensive and defensive rebounding. But that's the only really major difference that I see, to be honest. Obviously, this build gets a little more finishing badges, a little less defensive badges. That's the only major difference. They still both get a 95 standing dunk. You're not going to be going wrong with either of these center builds if you're a noob. Trust me. Now, if you don't want to make a center, you're completely against it, okay? Still, do whatever you do not make a point guard or a shooting guard. This is probably the only other option. If you want to be a shooter, if you do want to shoot, this is the build that I would go. If you want to shoot, you can either go defensive and shooting, or you can go pure defensive. Now, I'm going to go through the defensive and shooting archetype, but just go through the same strategy that I went through to make the last center builds. Upgrade all the things that are important, downgrade stuff until you've got the right amount of badges, and then pretty much make your player as big as possible. Obviously, for a small forward, you don't want max weight, but you still want to max out your height and max out your wingspan. So just to clarify, that's for the pure lockdown build. Cash Nasty is making the pure lockdown build really popular this year, so if you're considering making one of these builds, I would strongly recommend you go check out Cash Nasty. I'm sure you definitely already know who that is. Now we're going into the defensive and shooting archetype. Now for this build, what I would actually do is go the vertical and agility pie chart. And I would also do that for the pure lockdown archetype. Now we're going to start off with the most important things. You can see we get 434 attributes, which is a lot more than what we got on the centers. So what we want to do is max out our interior defense, max out our perimeter defense, our lateral quickness, our steals, our blocks. I put our offensive rebounding on a 70, and then the defensive rebounding to an 83. So that's going to give us 19 defensive badges. Now obviously we need our shooting badges, so we're going to go over to our shooting and just max out everything except for our post fadeaway, which we're gonna knock down to a 78. Now we obviously want a bit of ball handling and passing accuracy, so we're gonna max them out just so we can limit our turnovers, and it also works out to giving us a perfect 6 playmaking badges. Now for the finishing stats, I'm gonna upgrade the driving dunk and driving layup to a 65, and then we've got an extra 4 points for shot close just to give it to a 60. Obviously, the driving stats aren't the best, but because we're so athletic, we're still going to be decent at driving. You'd be surprised. And we're a good shooter. We got a 77 3-point shot before we maxed out our height and wingspan. So we're going to go continue. It doesn't really matter what body shape you make. I would go defined or burly. The bigger you are, the more contact animations you're going to get. So pretty much what that means is when you're playing defense, your body shape is going to allow you to bump people better because your player is actually physically bigger. It's just kind of the way the physics work in this game. But it's a very minor difference. It's pretty much almost purely aesthetic. So I'm just going to go defined and then max your height to 6'9". Now, we're a bit of a combo player, okay? We kind of want to be able to decently guard the bigs and get a few rebounds. But we also want to be able to be fast and have a high vertical. So I'm putting the build at 212 pounds just to give us a +1 to vertical, +1 to acceleration. And we only lose 1 point of strength to give us a 61 strength. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's also going to give us a +1 in lateral quickness. And then for our wingspan, we're going to max it out. Now, only reduces our shooting by 3 points, which isn't that big of a deal. And it gives us a +2 boost to our steals and a +4 boost to our block, which is pretty good. So looking at those stats, there's some really nice stats. Now obviously you need a good jump shot to be able to shoot, so I would recommend looking up a jump shot video. That's probably the most important thing about being a shooter, is getting that jump shot. Also, another thing I like about this build is you get choices of 4 different takeovers. You can get lockdown, rebounding, playmaking, and shooting. So you cannot change this once you choose it. So I would choose wisely. I would generally either go with the lockdown or sharpshooting. But if you want to do something strange and get rebounding or even playmaking I would not go, but rebounding might be alright. You have a lot of options with this build based on how you want to play. This is also a really good build. Now, either way, that's the end of the video. If you guys would like to check out some of my other 2K videos, I strongly recommend you do. I just post a lot of I post more like fun videos. I'm not really the biggest tryhard, but in saying that, I know my stuff when it comes to builds, okay? I've pretty much made the most overpowered build coming into 2K before it releases 2 years in a row. This year, it's pretty much widely known as the best build is the two-way slashing playmaker. It's also not a bad build for beginners if you want to go check that video out. That's my Russell Westbrook build video. I'll leave a card to that in the top right hand corner. But either way, that's like known as the most annoying and hated build. And I made that build by myself before the game came out. In the demo, I was like, this is the build I'm making. And then last year, I made a 610 pure lockdown off the bat, which also happens to become the best build in the game. So I feel like when it comes to builds, at least, I definitely know what I'm talking about. But either way, if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm out. See ya.